When a person has walked through the heaviest obstacles of life, when old karma has been gradually repaid, when the mind no longer carries much anger, delusion, and affliction, blessings will find their way on their own. There is no need to crave or calculate, because blessing is the energy of goodness, of lightness, of deep virtue. These are the quiet signs that you are paying off your karma, and that blessings are drawing very near. The first sign is that you begin to feel peace in your heart, even though your circumstances have not yet changed. When karma is still active, our minds are easily swayed by conditions. Whenever things do not go our way, we feel annoyed. Whenever people do not please us, we suffer. When karma is still heavy, our inner world is like a blade of grass in the wind, tilting with the slightest change in weather. Then one day we suddenly realize we are different. The world outside is still noisy, stories still come and go, people still arrive and depart, yet inside we are no longer as shaken as before. This is the first and clearest sign that karma is being transformed, the mind is settling, and blessings have begun to return. A person whose karma is not yet resolved often lives in dissatisfaction, blaming others, resenting life, and being angry with oneself. A person who is gradually paying off karma begins to live with gratitude, thankful to be alive, to breathe, and to have the chance to correct mistakes. They no longer demand that life favor them or insist that others understand them. They simply and quietly do what is right, keep a straight mind, live virtuously, and smile when faced with what is not as they wish. It is not because they are indifferent, but because they have understood. It is not because all pain is gone, but because they know how to transform pain with mindfulness and insight. When we stop demanding that the world change and begin to transform ourselves, that is when blessing arrives. Blessing does not lie in how much we possess on the outside, but in the state of our inner world, whether it is light or heavy, awake or asleep, compassionate enough to live in a complex world without losing oneself. The ancients taught, when the mind is at peace, all things are at peace. For the mind to be at peace, we do not wait for all things to be at peace. When karma has thinned, even if everything is not yet perfect, we can still abide in the present. Have you ever felt this? In the past, a small problem at work could worry you. A single displeased look could make you angry. Now such things come and go. You see them and know them, but you are no longer swept away. It is like sitting on the riverbank, watching the water flow. You do not cling, and you do not resist. You simply observe with an open mind. This is the state of someone stepping out of karma and preparing to enter the field of blessing. When the mind is calm, you do not need to wait for everything to be perfect to feel at ease. When the mind is calm, you no longer complain about fate or calculate gain and loss. You accept what is present, fulfill your current responsibilities, and keep a steady faith in cause and effect, knowing that every good deed today quietly sows blessings for tomorrow. Such a person may not yet be wealthy, but is already rich in blessing. They may not yet be dazzlingly successful, but they have achieved a steadfast inner life. That is the foundation upon which all coming goodness can find a place to dwell. Blessings do not come to hearts that are still restless, resentful, and tangled in life. Blessings choose a mind that is still a virtue, that is thick, a heart that is wide, and conduct that is complete enough to be a resting place. If you are at the stage where you no longer crave as before, know how to let go at the right time, live simply, and feel grateful even for what is incomplete, then congratulations, you are walking through the gate of karma and preparing to step into the light of blessing. The second sign is that you begin to sense cause and effect clearly in the smallest details of daily life. When we are still deluded, we live without regard for consequences. We act for short-term gain, momentary pleasure, and immediate advantage. We are lenient with ourselves, quick to speak in a competitive tone, and quick to act while still burning with anger. We think a harsh word is a small matter, that a single wrong deed will pass and be forgotten. In truth, nothing is small in the web of cause and effect. Only when karma has been repaid to some extent and the mind has grown quiet can we see more deeply. We begin to realize that every word we say, every thought we entertain, every action we take is a seed sown in the field of the mind. Sooner or later, those seeds will sprout. No one needs to scold us. No one needs to point out our faults. The moment a wrong intention arises, our heart whispers that we should not proceed. If careless words slip out, the mind already feels unsettled. If we do something unwholesome, something inside refuses to rest. This is a sign that your consciousness is clear and pure enough to connect deeply with the law of cause and effect. Not everyone has this sensitivity. It does not come from academic knowledge, nor from books or theories. It comes after you have suffered from ignorance, after you have hurt yourself and others by acting without mindfulness, after you have tasted the consequences of something that seemed harmless. Now you live differently. You choose your words because you know that speech can save a person or wound them invisibly. You keep your thoughts clean because the mind is the root of all karma. You act kindly not to be praised, but because you understand that this is the only way of living that keeps your heart at peace. No one forces you to do good. You choose goodness as a natural response. You do not wait for bad results to change. You prevent bad causes the moment they begin to stir in thought. This is the person who has repaid old karma and is stepping onto the path of cultivating new blessings. Heavy karma breeds ignorance. When the mind grows bright, when insight begins to shine, when you can discern right from wrong and good from evil by yourself, blessings are very near. Blessing is not only wealth on the outside, it is clarity on the inside, the clarity to refrain from sowing harm and the wakefulness to know when to stop. If you pass a day without speaking words that hurt others, without letting the mind drift with wandering thoughts, without acting rashly out of emotion, you have sown blessing. If you feel sincere regret when you unintentionally make someone sad, and you go back to apologize, not for appearances, but to reconcile, you are purifying karma. Cause and effect needs no supervisor. Those who live by it are always protected, because their minds are tuned to a frequency of blessing. You do not need to wait for a miracle. You only need to grow quiet and examine every action, every thought, and every word you speak each day. If you find that you know how to pause when anger arises, how to be still when you want to argue, how to listen rather than react, then you are gradually stepping out of karma and opening the door for blessing to enter. You do not need to do great deeds, and you do not need to recite many scriptures. You only need to live virtuously in small things each day, live rightly in each choice, and live mindfully in each breath. Blessing will not arrive with noise and knocking. It comes with quiet serenity and rest within a mind that is wholesome enough, a place where cause and effect is no longer a distant concept, but has become the guiding compass for every step you take in life. The third sign is that you no longer chase winning and losing, but begin to focus on nourishing a wholesome heart. At times, we live with the feeling that we must try very hard, not from idealism, but from fear of falling behind. Fear that others will surpass us, fear of being looked down on, fear that our life has little value. Then we toil after what the world calls success, position, reputation, houses, money, praise, recognition. We imagine that if we gain these things, we will feel sufficient and happy. Yet, after enough of that rushing about, one day we sit down and find our hearts still empty, not because we do not have enough, but because we place too many expectations on things outside ourselves. When karma is still teaching us, we are easily led by desire. When karma gradually thins, the light of insight begins to dawn, helping us realize that the greatest achievement is keeping a kind heart in a crooked world. You no longer need to prove yourself, do not need to be above anyone, no longer envy and no longer compare. It is enough to live decently, to keep a pure heart, and to do nothing that violates your conscience. You do not boast of your good deeds, do not demand others be grateful, do not expect anything in return. You give because the heart wishes to give. You help because compassion arises, without needing repayment or praise. This is the heart of one who is stepping out of karma and building blessing by the power of an unconditional mind. Such a person may not yet be wealthy, but their inner life is already abundant. They may not be celebrated, yet they stand firm in the world without being shaken, because they clearly know what is real and what is only a passing illusion, what remains and what will fade, what is foundational and what is mere ornament. When the heart no longer needs to be above others, you naturally draw nearer to the Buddha. The Buddha is not only someone to worship, but a state of wakefulness within the practitioner's own mind. The Buddha is present when you know contentment. The Buddha is present when you do not contend. The Buddha is present when you see someone better than you and feel no envy but joy. The Buddha is present when you see someone worse off and feel no arrogance but compassion. This is the summit of transforming karma. Most of us create new karma out of comparison. We slander because of jealousy, burn with anger because of competition, and seek to excel by unwholesome means. When your heart no longer wants to stand above others, but only wants to stand in its rightful place, to do your rightful good, and to live out your rightful duties, you have left the old field of karma. With such a heart, there is no need to embellish merit, because each day you are already living in blessing. You see the wealthy, and you rejoice because you know they have blessings. You see those in misfortune and you feel compassion, and dedicate merit without judgment. You see someone surpass you, and you join your palms and bless them. You see someone below you, and you extend your hand to help. A heart like this does not seek blessing, yet blessing arrives on its own. In the Buddhist path, there is a quiet secret that no one teaches outright and only practitioners truly feel. Blessing does not come from being above others. It comes from not needing to be above anyone at all. Blessing does not come from how much you possess, but from how much defilement you can release within. If these days you live an ordinary life yet feel serene because you are living rightly as a human being, that is a sign you are moving away from the realm of karma and walking toward the light of blessing. You do not need applause. You do not need recognition. If your heart is no longer a storm, that is the first and most enduring blessing. The fourth sign is that you often find yourself in a state of gratitude even when no one reminds you to be grateful. Life is not always easy. Some things remain unresolved. Some relationships are still entangled. Some wishes have not come true. Strangely, you no longer want to blame. Instead, you begin to feel grateful. It is not because everything has improved, but because your way of seeing has changed. You are grateful because each morning you can still open your eyes. You are grateful because your body is still whole. You are grateful because your loved ones are still there. You are grateful for the stumbles that helped you grow. You are grateful even for the things that once hurt you because they taught you to live more deeply with yourself. Gratitude is not a state of luck. Gratitude is the fruit of a path of transformation. Only those who have suffered, who have been deluded, who have blamed truly understand the healing power of gratitude. Those whose minds carry heavy karma often blame. They blame people, blame life, blame fate. They live as if everything is against them and believe they can only be at peace when the world changes. Those who have begun to pay off karma live differently. They do not wait for a perfect life to feel enough. They feel grateful for the most ordinary things. No one forces them to say thanks. Their thanks rises as a natural response. They go to the temple not only to ask but to bow. They eat not only to satisfy hunger, but to cherish each grain of rice. They feel grateful when they meet a kind person, and they also feel grateful when they meet a difficult person. The kind person helps us feel at ease. The difficult person trains our heart. When you can say thank you without doing it for politeness, when you bow to the Buddha and tears flow on their own, when you quietly dedicate merit without wishing for anything for yourself, that is the clearest sign your heart has changed greatly. You are no longer living in the realm of karma. You are stepping into the realm of blessing, where every wholesome seed will quietly sprout. Blessing does not always arrive through wind chimes or strange dreams. Sometimes it comes very quietly. It appears in 1 minute when you feel grateful to still be alive. It appears in 1 instant when you do not blame, do not grieve, do not rage, and simply feel glad that you are still practicing. These moments of gratitude are the meeting point between blessings once sown and blessings now arising. You do not need to do anything grand. Each day, spend a few minutes looking up at the sky and whispering thank you to life. Each night before sleep, send a word of appreciation to your loved ones, to your friends, to the Buddhas of the 10 directions, even to those who once made things hard for you. Gratitude is like a gentle light in the night. It is not dazzling, and it does not show off. yet it is enough to dispel the darkness within. A grateful person is one who is no longer entangled in what is not, as they wish a person who does not need anything, and that is where happiness appears. A grateful person is one who is step by step, reconnecting with the root of blessing within. If you are now living a very ordinary life with nothing splendid and no public praise, yet your heart constantly feels grateful for being alive, for being able to practice, for being able to correct yourself each day, then congratulations. You are living in blessing, preparing to welcome even better things. You do not need to search far because blessing is already present in your daily gratitude. The fifth sign is that when facing adversity, you no longer rush to complain. You quietly turn inward to observe and correct yourself. There are times when life does not flow in a favorable direction. Work does not go smoothly. Loved ones misunderstand, money is lost, health falters. Even though we have lived decently, done good, and recited the Buddha's name each day, there are still times when it feels as if everything has turned its back. In the past, we might have flared up, blamed life, or blamed ourselves for lacking blessing. Now you are no longer like that. You grow quiet. You do not rush to explain yourself or hastily search for causes outside. You ask how your mind is right now. You look back at what you have been sowing in recent days. Were there any wrong intentions, any unwholesome words? Did you do anything not quite right? That very attitude is a clear sign that you are stepping out of karma and into the field of blessing. Those still heavy with karma tend to blame. Those who are transforming karma tend to turn inward and examine themselves. You no longer panic when something happens. You know this is an opportunity to retrain the mind, not to run away, but to face things with wakefulness. Not to fight, but to look quietly at karma as it ripens and choose not to create new karma. You recognize that every adversity is an invitation to return to yourself, a time to lessen delusion, lessen anger, lessen competitiveness, and begin to filter the muddy water so the clear can flow within. The world does not need to change. If your mind becomes still, everything already looks different. In the past, a small matter could make you anxious. Now even a big matter does not make you waver. It is not because you have grown numb. It is because you know how to live in mindfulness. You know how to take a deep breath, recite Amitabha Buddha once, and look at everything through the lens of cause and effect, instead of reacting in haste. Not everyone can do this. Only when blessings are quietly gathering do you have enough inner strength to avoid being swept away by external adversity. An ordinary person tries to change their circumstances, while a wise person transforms their mind first. Therefore, when you can stand in the midst of difficulty without anger, without resenting life, without judging anyone, your karma is already being transformed in the present. You do not need to recite 1,000 scriptures. If you can keep a peaceful heart through a time of hardship, you have already dedicated a portion of old karma in full. A blessed person is not someone who never faces trials, but someone who faces trials without creating new karma, because they know how to be still to correct themselves, to turn inward. In that very stillness, blessing begins to arrive. It is not noisy or grand. It is like an underground stream quietly nourishing the roots of future merit. There is a beautiful saying in Zen, no one can avoid karma, yet a practitioner can pass through karma lightly. If you are living through difficult days without the old complaints, and instead you are calm, reflective, willing to correct yourself and to dedicate merit, then you are stepping into that realm. It is the realm of blessing born from patience and an understanding of cause and effect. Keep your mind like this. The more you walk in mindfulness, the thinner the darkness becomes, and the light slowly opens beneath each step you take. The sixth sign is that you begin to live virtuously in a natural way, not to seek blessing, not out of fear of karma, but because your heart has become innately kind. There is a wondrous transformation in one who is gradually walking out of karma. Goodness is no longer a choice. It is a way of life. You no longer measure what brings advantage or what earns merit. You no longer ask what you will get from doing this. You no longer need reminders to live well, to keep the precepts, to recite the Buddha's name, to help others. All of this now arises in you as naturally as breathing. You do good not for repayment. You endure not because you fear karma. You dedicate merit not because you hope for something to arrive. You chant scriptures not out of fear of losing merit. You recite the Buddha's name not to beg for favors, but simply because it is the right thing to do, because your heart feels at peace living that way. And that, dear one, is the greatest blessing. Not money, not fame, not external safety, but an inner life that is wholesome, steadfast, and unconditional. Those who live virtuously for the sake of gain still stand outside the gate of blessing. Those who live virtuously as a gentle reflex have already stepped into the light of cause and effect. They do not wait for tomorrow to sow. They do not need to be seen. They do not need merit recorded. They do not need heaven and earth to repay them, because they know that every wholesome deed is one more time they brighten themselves. When you begin to feel joy simply because you can do something good, not because someone needs help, but because you yourself want to do it, your heart is beginning to rest firmly in blessedness. When you feel peace each time you quietly recite the Buddha's name, not because you are worried about anything, but simply because your heart needs to return to that sound, you are entering a pure current that karma cannot touch. Such a person may not recite many scriptures, may not be able to preach, may not do grand things, yet they are sowing blessings day by day. For in every thought, every word, every action, there is no root of craving, no seed of anger, no trace of calculation. This is the heart of one who has passed through the torments of karma and now abides in the light of the Buddha Dharma. They do not need recognition. They do not need their name written in a ledger of merit. Each day they walk lightly through this world like a flower that is not gaudy and not proud, offering fragrance to any who have the good fortune to pass by. If you are living like this, congratulations. You have not only repaid karma, you have touched the deepest source of blessing, which is to live virtuously. You see it as the noblest way to live a human life. Such a person will be sheltered by heaven and protected by the Buddha. Karma will struggle to reach them, and blessings will quietly bloom like spring returning. In each mindful breath, in each simple day, filled with gratitude, not everyone recognizes that they are entering the realm of blessing, because blessing is not always loud. It does not glitter like gold. It does not blaze like stage lights. Blessing arrives very gently, as gentle as a morning when you wake to find your heart at ease, as gentle as a time you face adversity and feel no need to blame anyone, as gentle as a moment when you stand in the bustling marketplace while your heart feels as if it was sitting in a silent meditation hall. This is a sign you are leaving the realm of karma. No one needs to measure this for you. Simply look back at yourself. Is your heart lighter than before? Are your reactions less harsh? Are your words gentler? Does your heart feel more sufficient? If so, you are not only repaying karma, you are already beginning to live within blessing. Blessing is not only what you receive, it is the way you meet life with a wakeful and compassionate heart. From there, each day you live is a day of sowing new seeds of blessing. You do not need to strain yourself. Simply live kindly, speak gently, think wholesomely, act rightly, and keep your heart from falling into competition, anger, and resentment. Blessing will naturally find you like water seeping into a good earth vein. Please do not doubt any longer. If you have made it to the end of this Dharma talk, you may already be standing in the place where karma and blessing meet. Just a little further. Do not turn back. Keep a kind heart. Keep living rightly. Keep chanting, reciting the Buddha's name, and doing good deeds, and everything you have long wished for will arrive at the right time, in the right way, and in the right place. Blessings do not knock when we are impatient. Blessings do not come when the heart still resents life. Blessings return when we quietly live virtuously without needing anyone to see. And if today your heart suddenly feels calm, understanding, and drawn to live more gently, that is the first sound of blessing calling your name. Hold on to it lightly but steadily. Blessings do not rush, they stay for a long time. If the heart is sincere, may the merit of this Dharma talk be dedicated to all sentient beings with karmic affinity. May those bearing heavy karma be gradually transformed. May those living in anxiety come to rest in mindfulness. May those doing good grow more diligent and never lose heart. May those who have lost faith rekindle the light within. And may those who have begun to awaken walk the entire path with humility, free of conceit. If this Dharma talk has brought something to your heart, please share it. A single share from you can plant a seed of blessing for someone else, and also become a wholesome dedication for yourself in lives to come. Remember to follow the channel so that each day we may have the chance to sit together again in a gentle space where the Dharma is light and human hearts are seeds of awakening. There are blessings that we did not create ourselves. They were planted by those who came before, and we are merely the heirs. There are also misfortunes that we did not cause yet. If we do not cultivate and correct ourselves, the ancestral blessings will gradually be depleted and lost. Therefore, a mindful person is one who examines their life under the light of cause and effect, recognizing that ancestors are not only to be venerated, but are also watching over us, quietly supporting each step of their descendants. If unusual things are happening in your life, though not wealthy, you are always provided for. Though not especially lucky, your mishaps tend to ease. Though few people help you, there is always a benefactor at the right moment. Then perhaps your ancestors are blessing you. And if within you there is a gentle impulse arising to practice, to do good, to live decently, to let go of what is not worthy, then perhaps your ancestors are entrusting you with their blessings so that you may become the one who continues the light for the entire lineage. In this Dharma talk, we will go through 8 vivid and easily recognizable yet deeply meaningful signs that show you are being protected and quietly rising day by day in a steady way. The first sign, your mind changes toward goodness, naturally, not because of wealth and not because of fame. The very first sign of those blessed by their ancestors is an inner transformation. They suddenly feel lighter. They no longer want to compete to win and lose to blame. They begin to feel ashamed of past wrongs. They know how to apologize, to correct themselves, to admit fault rather than shift it. They know when to be silent instead of arguing. The wonder is that this change does not come from forced effort. It unfolds naturally, as if a silent beam of light were shining within. Those blessed by grandparents and ancestors are gradually awakened from the inside. They turn their hearts toward goodness, want to hear the Dharma, want to recite the Buddha's name, want to practice wholesome deeds. Even if they knew nothing of spirituality before, their hearts grow calm and deep. They listen to others, set the self aside, cherish the blessings they have, and vow to live in a way worthy of those who came before. This is a clear sign that the current of ancestral virtue is being stirred in the lives of the descendants. In the law of cause and effect, the inner mind determines destiny. When the mind changes, life changes. When the heart is gentle, fortune turns kind. When the heart is grateful, blessings appear. And when the heart is free of anger and craving, even money begins to come naturally, not by cunning, but because wholesome conditions have ripened. The second sign, help arrives at the right time, and you get through at the right time. No one sees it, yet someone is quietly supporting you. There are moments in life when it seems everything is closed off, everything is lost, and there is no way out. Strangely, at exactly that moment, someone opens a door, extends a hand, delivers a message, offers a word, presents an opportunity, or provides just enough money to avert disaster. We cannot explain why we met exactly that person, why a good person appeared at such a rare moment, why everything suddenly lightened as if arrangements had been made beforehand. We often call it luck, but if we look closely and live with spiritual depth, we understand blessings are ripening. Those blessed by their ancestors are not people who never face trouble, but people who face trouble and come through safely. They still meet trials and times of hardship, but within those hardships there is always an invisible hand lifting them up. Someone was almost scammed, yet oddly the money had not been sent. Someone nearly had an accident, yet managed to brake in time. Someone was lost in life's confusion and met a wise spiritual friend. Someone fell ill, but found the right doctor and the right medicine. Someone did not know how they would go on yet. A timely opportunity arrived from a stranger for no apparent reason. These are not coincidences. They are the manifestation of ancestral virtue, clearing the path and turning conditions around. Ancestral blessing does not make descendants free of illness, suffering, or trial, but it shelters them, so the suffering is not too deep. the illness not too severe, the wandering not too long. It brings the right people at the right time in the right direction, so they pass through the gate. And precisely in passing through, they grow sturdier, stronger, and more awake, not relying on blessing but being grateful for it and using it to refine themselves. Those blessed by their ancestors rarely fall into long despair, for there is always in the end a way out, a small light in the night. Someone quietly helps without needing repayment. An opportunity that is not excessive but enough. If you have ever been on the brink of a deep pit and somehow were pulled up. If you have ever felt at a dead end and someone appeared to guide you. If you have ever sat alone in sorrow and a single sentence suddenly awakened you to stand again. Please understand your grandparents are lifting you. No one sees you but someone sees you. No one understands but someone understands. That someone may no longer be in human form, yet their vow has never left your side. They are your ancestors, your grandparents, those who once loved you with all they had and who still quietly follow each step you take. No one else knows what you have endured but the departed know. No one else can measure how much you have suffered but the departed can. They use their own hidden virtue and the wholesome deeds they accumulated to transform the karmic current of the lineage. And if you are the one entrusted with blessing, you will feel that protection light as dew, firm as a mountain. Such is ancestral blessing, not noisy, not showy. Those who receive it know. Those who live within it find they are not alone in this life. The third sign: people naturally show up to help at the exact moment you need it most. In life, there are times when we have no one left to lean on. Friends are busy. Family is exhausted. Money is gone. Health declines, and every door seems closed. Just when we think we will not make it this time, someone appears, not a close acquaintance, not someone we have benefited before. Yet they help, they offer an opportunity, share a crucial piece of information, are willing to lend money, give a place to stay, introduce a job, or simply listen just enough to help us stand up again. Then they go on their way. No repayment needed, no demands, meeting once, and then leaving, yet rescuing an entire hard season of our life. People in the past called such a person a benefactor. In the light of the Dharma, we understand it as wholesome conditions, bearing fruit, the good deeds we once planted, or the hidden virtue of our ancestors appearing in the form of someone at the right time and in the right circumstance to lift us from a low place. Those blessed by their ancestors will not live in ease forever, yet at the very points that feel like despair, someone appears. Not many, not enough to make one wealthy, but just enough to keep one from falling further. The beauty is not the amount of help, but the precision of the timing, like a small branch extended at the exact moment when a person falling into a ravine can grasp it. It does not pull them up immediately, but it keeps them from dropping farther. This blessing is not random. It is the result of careful cultivation across generations. Perhaps a father lived honorably. Perhaps a mother practiced diligently. Perhaps grandparents saved lives, sheltered the afflicted, raised orphans, and quietly did good. Such deeds do not vanish. They rest like an underground stream. When descendants face hardship, the stream rises into a fresh spring that helps them go on. If strangers have ever helped you unconditionally, if a path opened, if protection arrived at the right moment when no one thought you needed it, if you have ever thought, I was lucky to meet that person, otherwise I do not know what would have happened then. Please understand that you may have just received a portion of blessing left by those who came before. You are the one entrusted with that blessing to continue guarding the good within your lineage. Live decently, live with gratitude, and do not let the blessing be lost. A truly blessed person is not one who never meets difficulty, but one who always finds a bright doorway within difficulty. That door opens not because we are more deserving than others, but because someone once sowed goodness and that blessing is now arriving in our hands. If you receive it live, in a way that is worthy, continue the blessing through your way of life today. Live so as not to harm anyone. Live without resenting life. Be grateful for each person and each event, and dedicate merit to the source from which you received it. The fourth sign is frequent, unusual dreams. and a sense of being reminded or guided. Not everyone believes in dreams, but those who live close to the spiritual life, who feel deeply and pay attention to cause and effect, understand that some dreams are not produced by the mind. They are a very light form of communion between the living and the departed. Some say that in recent nights they often dream of a deceased loved one. Not a nightmare, but a very clear dream. The loved one stands and looks at them without speaking, or nods slightly, or shakes their head gently, sometimes just stands there with hands joined, eyes calm as if to remind them of something. Others dream they are before the Buddha hall bowing in reverence, or they hear someone say, "Do not do that, keep your mind at peace, do not be so hot-tempered." Then they wake up. It feels real. If such dreams come once, they may be fleeting. If they repeat, especially during periods of confusion, loss of direction, or when one is acting wrongly without knowing it, please do not take them lightly. They may be a sign that the ancestors are sending a very gentle reminder, very quiet, yet deeply heartfelt. When there is sufficient blessing and sufficient conditions, grandparents and ancestors can still protect and teach their descendants without words. They do so through intuition, through resonance in dreams, through fleeting promptings in daily life, so that the one who is protected knows to stop in time, avoids going too far into wrongdoing, or turns back sooner. If you have ever had a dream that startled you into changing course, if you have ever had a strange intuition, and by following it you avoided misfortune, if you have ever woken feeling as though someone had lightly touched your heart, you may be receiving guidance from your ancestors at a distance. Such blessing cannot be seen, but it can be felt. It cannot be grasped, yet it is enough to transform the living heart. If you feel grateful, cherish it and live more virtuously because of those dreams, then you are receiving the protection in the deepest way. The fifth sign is that bad things nearly happen and then become light or do not happen at all. Some events seem small, but if they had unfolded a few seconds differently, the result would have been a major turn in life. Someone was walking and a truck sped by. One more half step and a life would have been lost. Yet a phone call at that instant, or a soft call from a familiar voice behind, made them stop and they were spared. Someone was about to sign a business contract full of traps, yet the night before they were inexplicably restless, uneasy, and finally postponed it. Only later did they discover they had nearly been deceived. Someone became so angry they were ready to argue to the point of breaking everything, but at that moment a child's cry rang out, waking them up, softening them, and saving the family. An outsider may call these coincidences. The one who experienced them, if even a little awake, will feel a hand holding them back. A light tap at the right moment, a voice at the right time, a vague intuition strong enough to keep them from stepping into error. That is when blessing is appearing not with blinding light, but through things that seem very ordinary. Those blessed by their ancestors are not people to whom misfortune never comes. They are people for whom, when misfortune is about to occur, an invisible force causes it to lessen, to draw back, or to turn aside. Sometimes it is only a pause of a few seconds, but those few seconds save a life. Sometimes it is a very faint inner voice, but strong enough to stop the hand, the mouth, or an unfortunate act. Not every stroke of luck comes from intelligence or skillful calculation. Some escapes happen thanks to the hidden virtue of those who came before. Our loved ones have passed on, yet their hearts have never left their descendants. They do not appear openly, do not issue warnings through dreams, and do not intervene with miracles. They do one thing: they turn the course of bad karma. They do not erase it, but they cause it to ripen more lightly. They make what should have been very serious become small. They turn a great calamity into a brief headache. They provide a foothold where a fall seemed impossible to recover from. If you have ever escaped an accident by a hair, nearly fell for a scam and were then saved, were about to explode and destroy everything, and suddenly calmed down, faced a situation that seemed destined to collapse, and yet it did not, please do not take it lightly. This is not mere chance. It is a sign that you are being held back, being protected, that those who have gone before are quietly using their virtue to lighten your karma. Such blessing cannot be seen with the eyes. It cannot be photographed or explained to others in neat detail. Only those who have stood at the edge of a cliff and then stepped back can clearly recognize that very private feeling. It is not fear and it is not confusion. It is a feeling of gratitude rising from deep within the heart, because you know you were saved without anyone having to intervene or step forward. People say that those with a rooted lineage cannot be harmed. It sounds old, but it is true. Those with firm roots and deep ancestral blessings still have solid ground when karma ripens. However fierce the wind, they do not uproot. However long the rain, they do not sink into mud. And you, if many times you were close to loss, yet did not lose many times, thought you were lost, yet found your way again, may be living within a thick mantle of ancestral blessing without ever realizing it. The sixth sign is that the mind is led toward goodness. Even if one previously lived carelessly or astray, far from the path, disbelieving in cause and effect, careless in speech, doing everything for self-interest, speaking only to win or lose, even mocking practice and treating Buddha, recitation as a luxury, looking down on the virtuous, at a certain moment they change. No one forces, persuades, or lectures them, yet their heart quietly turns back in the smallest things. They become mindful, hold their tongue, self-reflect, feel uneasy about what is not right, and feel ashamed when words wound others. From there they quietly seek the Dharma, find Dharma talks on their own, open a sutra on their own, set the Buddha's name to play on their device. No one calls them to do this, but the heart has arisen very gently and very strongly. This is not random. It is a sign that wholesome karma is awakening, that the energy of ancestral virtue is stirring, that the latent good is emerging. Not everyone receives such a turning. Some live in suffering and never think to turn back. Some hurt others and never see their fault. If someone suddenly sees their own mistakes and wishes to live kindly and decently and in accord with the path that is blessing sprouting from within, perhaps they never recited the Buddha's name, never bowed to the Buddha, never went to a temple yet. When ancestral blessing meets the right conditions, their heart shifts toward the light. A heart oriented to goodness is not trained by anyone so much as drawn by the field of blessing that guides it correctly. At that time, cultivation no longer feels distant. They begin to enjoy gentle words, enjoy reading verses from the sutras, enjoy being close to good people without anyone's warnings. From within, they want to live differently, better, more lightly, more kindly. If you are in that stage, understand, this is a precious gift from those who went before. Many are born with material abundance, education and intelligence, yet their hearts do not turn toward good. If your heart is now rising with the wish to practice, to seek the light again, to escape the loops of affliction, that is the light of ancestral blessing guiding you back to the shore. Returning is not to become perfect, but to lessen anger, doubt, and clinging, and to live a life of wakefulness, love, and responsibility. Those rich in ancestral blessing do not need explanations or life's harsh lessons to teach them. They naturally step back to keep harmony, speak gently, so as not to wound and stop their hand when they see their act could sow a bad result. Such a person walks in light without needing a lamp. The seventh sign is that though life is simple, the heart often feels sufficient and inexplicably at peace. Some people possess nothing remarkable, neither wealth nor fame nor high status. Daily life revolves around ordinary things: work, home, meals, sleep. No distant trips, no luxurious houses, no fancy cars. Yet they live very peacefully, without scrambling or envy, without bracing themselves to appear strong. They live lightly, letting days pass, not needing grand joys, yet still feeling enough, still feeling calm, still feeling grateful. Others are outwardly well provided, yet inwardly always lacking, always feeling inferior, never satisfied. Those living under ancestral blessing, even if life is not abundant, often feel at ease. There is a clear sense: I am not rich, but I am not miserable. I do not have much, but I do not fear lack. I am not praised by many, yet each day feels light. They sleep well, eat simply, and feel grateful for every day of health. This is a very quiet kind of blessing, more precious than mountains of gold. It is a clear sign that ancestral blessing is being transformed into a steady abiding within the descendants' hearts. It does not appear outwardly as easily gained things, but inwardly as a reluctance to contend, a lack of need to be above others, and a resistance to being dragged by a chaotic world. People with this blessing are not free of trials, but when trials come, they are not afraid, do not collapse, do not resent. They receive them gently and move through them slowly. They do not need to win. It is enough to keep the heart unbroken. If you live like this, or begin to return to this state, recognize it as a happy sign. The greatest blessing is not wealth or fame, but a peaceful heart in a world that is not yet peaceful. If you have that, it is because those before you sowed very wholesome roots, so that today you can sit calmly amid imperfect days without storms rising in your heart. The eighth sign is a spontaneous wish to do good, to practice, to live righteously without anyone telling you to. In this life, there are two kinds of people who do good. One kind acts because they were taught, advised, or guided by books or teachers. The other needs no instruction and no pressure. Their own heart arises with the desire to live decently. Those of the second kind are often people in whom a good seed was planted long ago and is now blooming. Some people once lived very ordinarily, sometimes careless, sometimes selfish, sometimes indifferent. Then at a certain point, their heart changes course. Things they once liked no longer appeal. Things they once did no longer feel right. They suddenly want to live kindly, to do good, to recite the Buddha's name, to eat vegetarian meals, to give, to loosen the grip of the self. No push, no lecture. This is a clear sign that ancestral blessing is being transmitted. That blessing does not come from outside. It flows from a deep spiritual current. When ancestors possess great merit, they send that energy into the bloodline, into the field of consciousness of their descendants. Those who receive this transmission suddenly find themselves different and cannot explain why. Someone once quick to anger is now gentle. Someone once obsessed with winning and losing now chooses forbearance. Someone once reckless now feels compassion. Someone who mocked spiritual practice now quietly taps the wooden fish and chants sutras, each evening with no one forcing them, and no one insisting they change on their own. That is your ancestors using their merit to turn the hearts of their descendants. The wonder is that when a heart turns toward the wholesome, misfortune gradually dissolves. When a heart inclines to goodness, harmful karma gradually settles. When a heart knows how to bow, lofty doors open of themselves. Mind is the root. The Buddha taught, all things are created by the mind. The whole world, destiny, blessing, or misfortune arises from a single thought. If your mind is turning toward the light, not only you, but your whole lineage is being guided to a more peaceful course. Some say cultivation is only for those who go to temples, but in truth, practice is a return to the goodness within oneself. When you no longer wish to do wrong, that already is a form of practice. When you wish to speak gently, live kindly, and think well, you have begun to clear old karma and sow new blessings. If you find this in yourself now, please do not take it lightly. This is no small matter. It is a turning within the law of cause and effect, and you are the one being chosen to continue your ancestors' light. Many things are beyond the strength of a single lifetime, yet with blessing and hidden virtues supporting you, what was hard becomes possible. When the mind faces the right way, life's path turns of itself. None of us walks through life alone, though at times it may feel that way, though there are seasons when you must grit your teeth and cross days that seem empty of companionship. The truth is, there are those who have never left your side. They are not here in physical form yet. They are present in every peaceful night's sleep, in every small stroke of luck, in the subtle shifts of your heart, from anger to patience, from blame to compassion, from resentment to gratitude. They may be parents now, gone grandparents across many generations, those who loved you, who lifted you when you were small, who wished for your life to be safe. Not everyone is blessed by their ancestors. Not every lineage preserves the wholesome current to pass down. But if today you still have a home to return to, relatives to love, timely kindness arriving when needed, and a heart that knows to turn back, to reflect, to begin to practice, then treasure it. You are living within a beautiful portion of your family's blessing. You are inheriting something. Not everyone has the silent protection of those who came before. Once you recognize you are being blessed, The most important thing is not to enjoy it, but to guard it, continue it, and live in a way worthy of it, in the simplest manner, by living gently, speaking kindly, doing good, and regularly dedicating merit to your ancestors and forebears of many generations. So the blessing is not cut off, the light continues, and so that when your children and grandchildren look back, they can silently thank you for keeping the ancestral flame alive in this world. If you find this Dharma talk helpful, please share it with loved ones and friends, and leave a comment so we can help preserve what is wholesome in our families, our lives, and in every word and deed each day. If there is a topic you're pondering, or you are passing through a season in which you want deeper understanding of blessing, karma, cause and effect, or practice, feel free to leave a note. I vow to continue walking alongside you as a companion on the path home to the quiet, lucid place within each of us. May the merit of this Dharma talk be dedicated to our ancestors across 9 generations, our grandparents and parents of many lifetimes. May the living be at peace and the departed be reborn in higher realms. May our hearts grow brighter, softer, and more grateful with each day. There are those who have never asked for anything, yet life gives more than they dreamed. There are families who for 3 generations meet with good fortune. Whatever they do succeeds. Wherever they go, a helpful hand appears. There are children who seem to be born onto a path already laid with flowers, with good things meeting them at every step. Outsiders call it luck, but those who understand the Dharma know it is blessing. Blessing does not fall from the sky. It springs from the heart, from conduct, from wholesome seeds sown quietly, patiently in deeds no one sees. Yet heaven and earth miss none of it. Those who do not ask yet receive are not enjoying lucky numbers. Their hearts are broad enough to be forgiving, gentle enough not to contend, good enough to yield when they could take more, and wise enough to trust deeply in cause and effect. They live each day as if every act is a seed planted for tomorrow. Do not be surprised to see people who do not scramble yet have enough, who do not compete yet are entrusted with responsibility, who do not calculate yet are found by blessing. When blessing is sufficient, every door opens of itself. No need to pound or knock loudly. Stand still with a calm heart, and the door widens for the one whose blessing is full. Where do blessings come from? Not from begging, not from luck, not from someone's favor. Blessings arise from the wholesome causes we plant through heart, through conduct, through each quiet act in ordinary life. One who lives truthfully without deceit is sowing blessing. One who helps others when they need it is sowing blessing. One who is patient, does not contend, and yields the better portion to others is sowing blessing. Even holding a heart free of hatred in adversity plants a wholesome seed for the future. Blessing does not require great deeds, only daily decency. Just refrain from adding to anyone's suffering. Keep a clean heart amid countless temptations. Dedicate what you do to others and to life, and blessing has already begun to take shape. Some often wonder, I don't do anything bad. Why do I still suffer? The teaching is not doing wrong is not enough to have blessing. To have blessing, you must actively do good. Like soil, if no seed is sown, it remains bare. If you do not sow evil, you avoid bad karma. But if you do not sow good, there is no good fruit to reap. Only when you plant wholesome seeds can you hope to harvest sweetness later. Blessings do not arrive overnight. They seep in like water into earth, slow but deep. Some do one good deed and expect fruit tomorrow. Those who truly understand do not tally their merit or watch the clock. They simply live rightly and trust that good fruit arrives in its time. One more important point: blessing comes not only from outward actions but from the inner heart. The gentler the heart, the greater the blessing. The purer the heart, the more enduring the blessing. The more compassionate the heart, the farther the blessing spreads, even to future generations. Someone may do good all their life, but harbor resentment, rivalry, and envy. Their blessing is easily lost. Another may simply live quietly and kindly, helping unnoticed, yielding without recognition, and their blessing grows very thick. So if you would know where blessing begins, look back at each small act, each hidden thought, each way you treat others in daily life. Precisely those unnoticed places are where blessing is born. Blessing does not come by itself, and it does not stay by itself. It arises from wholesome causes, but whether it remains or falls away depends on the heart of the one who guards it. To accumulate blessing, you must begin with your way of living, not with outward forms, but with the intentions within. A person who is selfless, who yields, who does not compete or calculate, is quietly accumulating blessing. One who thinks of others, chooses empathy instead of judgment, and helps instead of harms, is letting blessing arise day by day. You do not need much money to create blessing, you only need heart. A gentle word when someone is in pain, a compassionate look instead of blame, one act of forgiveness instead of exacting payback, a simple vegetarian meal offered to the triple gem, one recitation of the Buddha's name dedicated to the departed. All of these plant seeds of blessing. Blessing comes from very ordinary things, from how you live and keep house, from how you walk and stand, from how you treat your parents, the vulnerable, and even those who once hurt you. Each time you overcome the urge to win and lose, you keep your blessing. Each time you accept a small loss without resentment, your blessing does not fall away. Each time you recite the Buddha's name with sincerity, not out of desire, but out of reverence, your blessing increases. If blessing is not dedicated, it can also dissipate. Like a cloud without wind, it will dissolve. Merit that is not directed toward a great good is consumed by scattered thoughts, fantasies, or is spent unknowingly on unwholesome things. Some people do good for a time, then their character changes. They become arrogant and disparage others, believing themselves above them. Their blessing falls away without their knowing, like a tall house built on a neglected foundation that one day collapses from a place no one expected. Therefore, to keep blessing, you must guard the mind. A gentle mind, a patient mind, a grateful mind, a mind that dedicates merit. Do not keep any good deed for yourself alone. Vow to dedicate it to all beings, to the ancestors of many generations, to karmic creditors and adversaries, to the departed and to the living who are suffering. Dedication like this does not reduce blessing. It increases it, strengthens it, and passes it on. This is also how blessing spreads to children and grandchildren. You do not need to leave much wealth. Leave your heart instead. A heart that lives kindly, that practices, that makes wholesome vows. Such a heart quietly guides descendants onto the right path. However stormy life becomes, they will have a spiritual root to return to. Some children are born into families that are not very rich, yet they are always fortunate. At school, they meet caring teachers. In life, they meet guides. In work, they meet helpers. This is because parents and grandparents once lived virtuously. They recited the Buddha's name, ate vegetarian meals, made offerings, yielded to others, and forgave. Outsiders may not know these things, but blessing knows, and heaven and earth see. The descendants inherit it. Not everyone who is wealthy has it. Those who succeed, and those who are well loved, are those who have blessing. Not every smooth circumstance is the enjoyment of past good fruit. To know whether someone is truly enjoying accumulated blessing, look more deeply at how life opens for them. Some people do not scramble yet they have a place. They do not flatter yet they are entrusted. They do not grab the larger share, yet they have enough. Wherever they go, help appears. Whatever they undertake, guidance appears. Doors that seem closed open slightly when they arrive. This is not mere luck. It is a sign that blessing is manifesting. Those who are living in blessing often have a very special quality. They are not arrogant, they do not boast yet. They make others feel at ease in their presence. Whatever they do tends to succeed. They face difficulties but are not crushed. Even when they fall into hardship, someone appears to help in time. They live lightly with a spacious heart. They do not like rivalry or gossip, and they do not compare themselves with the world. Strangely, even without trying to draw anything toward themselves, good people still come, and wholesome circumstances still gather, because blessing is like a field of energy. When strong enough, it naturally attracts what is good. Those who truly have blessing do not squander it. They live with restraint. They do not spend recklessly because they have surplus. They do not look down on others because they are loved. They do not use power to create bad karma. By contrast, those who begin to lose blessing are often those who do not value what they already have. They spend blessing on indulgence rather than on good deeds. They consume their merit by boasting, belittling, and hurting others. They think their blessing came naturally and live carelessly. They take their advantages as reasons to despise others, not knowing that when arrogance arises, blessing quietly flows away. Blessing that arrives but is not kept will disperse. Blessing that has not yet arrived will slowly gather if you cultivate the mind. Some people were once wealthy and respected, then, after a single upheaval, everything fell apart. Assets vanished. Loved ones turned away. Health collapsed. They had exhausted old blessing without creating new blessing, and also created bad karma. When blessing left, life also fell. Others rise slowly from poverty. They do not win the lottery, and no one rescues them. They simply practice, do good, and live uprightly. They eat vegetarian meals, recite the Buddha's name, dedicate merit, protect life care for their parents, and live considerately with neighbors. Bit by bit, blessing gathers. Bit by bit, their life changes course. It is not noisy and not miraculous, but it is steady, like an underground stream that sustains. Step by step, they learn that to keep blessing, one must be grateful. Be grateful for every peaceful moment. Be grateful for each person who helped you in a small way. Be grateful to your parents. Be grateful for what you have, even the smallest things. From gratitude arises the wish to dedicate the wish, to share the wish, to do good for more people. Gratitude is the foundation on which blessing resides. Some people are not rich and not prominent yet. In their hearts they quietly say, "I thank my parents. I am grateful to my grandparents. I dedicate this merit to the elders who have passed on." No one hears this prayer, but heaven and earth record it. When gratitude awakens, bad karma is not dissolved by magic. It is softened by the heart itself, by the energy of love that transforms resentment, by the light of understanding that disperses the fog of ignorance. As gratitude spreads, the road ahead naturally becomes easier, not because life suddenly becomes less difficult, but because the heart has grown strong enough to pass through difficulty. Not because the wind stops blowing, but because the roots within are deep enough not to be uprooted. Gratitude is the source that opens blessing. A person who lives with gratitude may not ask for anything, yet life still finds ways to offer. Gratitude never disappears. It only waits for the right time to bear fruit, and when it does, the sweetness is shared by the one who sowed and by those around them. People often ask why some, despite many ups and downs, are still protected in the end, and still find a bright path, while others, equally talented and hard-working, feel darker the farther they go, and heavier the longer they live. The answer does not lie in skill, nor in outward diligence. It lies in whether the person has blessing or not. There are times when we ourselves cannot see the light at the end of the road, but if blessing is sufficient, someone will naturally come carrying a torch. There are moments when everything seems to turn its back on us, yet if some blessing remains, heaven will not close every door. Blessing is not something to flaunt, nor something to compare. It is an invisible cloak in life's storms. Whoever has it will not be cold. It is the hidden keel that keeps us from sinking, no matter how large the waves. A blessed person is not one who never meets calamity, but one who in calamity still has something to cling to, still finds hands ready to reach out, and still keeps a measure of peace in the heart amid the fury of fate. Blessing is what remains when everything we clung to has fallen away. It is the good concealed within the misfortune, the luck hidden inside the loss. Whoever has blessing will in the end find themselves again, and find their way, even if the path must arc far and long. Therefore, instead of asking, "Why am I suffering?" ask yourself, "Have I sown enough blessing yet?" And if not, then today is the day to begin. Not to wish for a life without suffering, but so that when suffering arrives you have firm spiritual ground on which to stand. Not to expect everything to go your way, but so that when things go against you, you still keep a clear, gentle smile. You do not need to wait until you have plenty to do good. You do not need to wait until you feel serene to recite the Buddha's name. You do not need to wait for life to be calm before you begin to practice. There is a truth few dare face. We do not know how much blessing we have left. No one can announce tomorrow in advance. No one can guarantee how long we will enjoy good things. But if today we can still breathe and still think about doing good, then begin now. Each small act today is a cause for sweet fruit tomorrow. Planting blessing again for yourself is not hard if you have the heart for it. Once the heart inclines toward goodness, every word, every action, every thought can become a seed of blessing. Begin with kind speech, speak loving words, offer support, and give encouragement, instead of letting sharp words injure others. A single sincere sentence said at the right time and in the right place can bring blessing. Some words can save a life. Others can push a person into darkness. By choosing your words, you are choosing blessing for yourself and your family. Next, sow blessing through upright conduct. Think of consequences in whatever you do. Live so that those nearby feel at ease, and those far away wish to draw near. Whether in small trade or large work, keep your word. Do not trade long-term decency for short-term gain. What we do today may be what our children must bear later. A deceitful word today can become a bad seed for 10 years to come, while a righteous deed today can open 10 bright doors for the next generation. Above all, live with gratitude. Gratitude to parents is the foundation of blessing. Gratitude to ancestors preserves the wholesome current of the lineage. Gratitude to anyone who has helped us even once keeps blessing from slipping away. Gratitude for life, even when it tires us, opens a wider, brighter heart with less resentment. When gratitude is nourished regularly, the seeds of blessing are watered each day. They do not grow in haste, but when conditions are ripe, they bloom in the most unexpected places. One day, when our children and grandchildren face trouble, someone will quietly help them. When the family meets trials, supporting hands will appear at the right moment. This is not luck, it is blessing passed down. Blessing is not only for enjoying, it is for transmitting. To transmit it, we must live so that our descendants feel respect and wish to follow. No grand lectures are needed. A living example is enough. If a child simply sees parents bow to the Buddha each night, honor their elders, eat vegetarian, and repent when the heart is agitated, that child has learned the greatest lesson about blessing. Sowing blessing does not require grand ideals, only a small heart that is truly sincere. Lighting a stick of incense with full reverence is blessing. Keeping silence in the face of gossip is blessing. Reciting a single line of the Buddha's name amid the bustle of worries is blessing. Each small seed planted without craving ripens into great fruit. Sometimes you do not need to knock because the door opens on its own. Some opportunities do not need to be fought for because they come of themselves. Some people need not curry favor yet, helping hands still appear and guides still arrive. That is when blessing is sufficient. When blessing is sufficient, it opens doors no human force could push open alone. It does not come from scrambling. It needs no strain. It arrives gently, as if everything had already been arranged, awaiting only our step. Someone may seek work and be turned away everywhere. Then one day, without a resume or a connection, someone seeks them out and invites them into a fitting role. Asked why, the person cannot say only that months earlier they began to change themselves. Speaking less harshly, bowing to the Buddha each morning, helping others more often, no longer blaming heaven or people, but simply living as well as they could. Then blessing bore fruit. Another person does business and fails for years, debts piling up. Then one day a wholesome opportunity comes back, a former customer returns and opens a long-term honest path. Life turns. Few knew that through all those hard months, this person kept a very clean heart. No resentment, no wrongdoing to pay debts, continued caring for parents, continued offering meals to ancestors on the 1st and 15th days of the lunar month, continued quietly reciting the Buddha's name at night. When blessing was sufficient, karma dissolved. Another person is sickly, seemingly unable to live out the year. Hearing the advice, repent and recite the Buddha's name, they began to practice. Not to beg for life, but to release resentment. Not to change fate first, but to change the heart first. Day by day, each recitation was like a drop of water on the parched soil of bad karma. In time, without rare medicine, the illness receded. Without frantic effort, the body grew strong. Not a miracle, simply blessing awakened. A blessed person is not someone who never suffers, but someone who in the midst of suffering still finds a way through. In the dark, there is still a small light. In loneliness, a hand still reaches out. These are the visible signs when blessing begins to take shape in everyday life, meeting the right person at the right time. What seemed difficult becomes easy. Opportunities arrive even without searching. Facing danger, yet unharmed. Facing hardship, yet unbroken. Facing poverty, yet without losing faith. Tasting bitterness, yet without a hardened heart. Blessing is not to make life easier. Blessing is to help us pass through life more lightly. Those who understand this will not pray for a life without storms, but for an inner strength, steady enough to walk through every storm. Not to be free of illness, but to have a kind heart that does not complain when illness comes. Not to have much, but to know enough so that even little feels joyful. Not to stand out, but to be humble so blessing stays long. Some shine like the sun when the winds are fair, yet a small mishap snuffs them out like a lamp before the breeze. Others seem ordinary, neither prominent nor loud, yet when great waves crash they still stand firm, remain at ease, receive timely help, and find a way out where none seemed possible. A blessed person is not one who never meets misfortune. A blessed person meets misfortune without collapsing, meets suffering without withering, meets calamity, and still sees a small light to continue on. If you wish to know someone's blessing, do not look at them in prosperity, look at how they face adversity. Some have empty hands but hearts full of trust and love. Some lose much, yet keep their eyes turned toward what is good. Some, amid sorrow, do not lose their character, they do not pour out blame, and they do not harm others to save themselves. Blessing is a warm cloak in a heavy rain. It cannot stop the rain, but it keeps the heart from growing cold. It cannot halt the storm, but it helps one cross the gale without losing their way. No one avoids the times life hits bottom. A sudden accident, the loss of work, money, or faith, or an upheaval that turns every certainty into uncertainty. In those seeming dead ends, some fall and others rise. The difference is not circumstance. It is the blessing within. A blessed person, when at the bottom, still feels a lifting force. Not from greater talent, not from luck, but because they have lived kindly and rightly aware of others, themselves, and the heavens. Because their hearts are good in hardship, they do not choose the unwholesome to escape. They do not resent, do not curse fate, do not cast blame. They look into themselves and correct. They turn inward to find the spiritual root from which to rise. That heart is the first force that lifts them when there is nothing left to hold. Then comes the strength that arrives from others. Some suffer and no one cares. Others suffer, and good people naturally appear at the right moment to lend a hand. This is not random. It is blessing the return of small kindnesses once given, arriving exactly when most needed. A word that once comforted someone in pain, a help offered, without expecting return. A gesture no one ever knew, all quietly accumulated. When they fall, that blessing takes shape as kind people who show up right on time. Lastly, there is wholesome karma. Many think karma only means something negative, but karma can be good as well. Wholesome karma is the good seed we planted before. When conditions ripen, it bears good fruit, fortune within hardship, essentials preserved within loss. Someone is ill yet finds the right medicine. Someone fails yet awakens from it. Someone seems to collapse yet begins again, brighter, kinder, deeper. One without blessing sees only darkness at the bottom. One with blessings sees a small star within. That star is faith, a turn toward the good, humility and gratitude. Blessing does not spare us from suffering, but it keeps us from suffering long. It does not prevent accidents, but it brings rescuers within them. A blessed person is not one who passes through life without stumbling, but one who after falling still knows how to rise quietly, compassionately, and with faith in what is good. When life goes well, anyone can smile broadly, be generous, and speak lovely words. But only in extremity, when it seems nothing remains, do we see whether blessing is thick or thin. A blessed person does not demand a smooth life. They simply vow that no matter how strong the wind, the heart will not grow cold. No matter how the world tilts, the mind will still turn toward the good. If you have met misfortune, walked through darkness, lost much, or slipped, do not rush to blame. Quietly sow wholesome seeds again. Live a little more kindly. Yield a little more. Bow and recite the Buddha's name a little more. Blessing does not come from begging. It comes from a heart that knows how to return to the good. And one day when blessing ripens, you will see, when you thought no one was left, a good person appears. When you thought there was no path, a way opens. When your heart was in turmoil, a sutra's chant, a single Buddha name brings you back to peace. May you from today live gently, live gratefully, and stand firm like a tree root in the wind, so that when upheaval comes you do not tremble, because you know you have blessing, and because you know that those with blessing do not fear loss. As long as the heart is good, all is not lost. Namo Amitabha Buddha. If you find this Dharma talk meaningful, please leave a comment, share it, or subscribe, so we can continue walking together on the path of awakening. A single timely teaching can save someone who is suffering.